If you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you will have complete peace. What is up, everybody? And welcome back to the Schooling Struggle Podcast. It is our belief that the only guarantee in life is that we are all going to struggle. And how we choose to embrace our struggles is what empowers us to become the best versions of ourselves. How is it going? My name is Pete, coming to you from Heartland, Vermont. And with me this evening are two fine, strapping gentlemen. One of them also stationed in Heartland, Vermont, Brian Fortier. What's up, Brian?
Hey, Pete, good to be here. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thanks. Glad to be back.
And, of course, none other than my original podcast co-host, Mr. Todd Ellis, coming to you from Tacoma, Washington. What's going on the left coast? Mr. Todd Ellis.
Hot on the left coast. We're coming back to the 90s again, if you can believe that. That's
wow.
Unseasonable over here, but yeah.
Not raining?
No rain in sight. Zero rain. Yeah.
As we record, I'm coming off a pretty lengthy break of podcast-related tasks. 2 episodes ago, I recorded with one of my former students by the name of Joey Beggs, and I mentioned to him that I'd taken a little break from doing any podcast-related stuff because I went on a family vacation. But normally when I travel, I bring my computer with me and do some kind of editing or podcast stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do any podcast-related tasks. And that was the first time in 2.5 years that I completely separated from the podcast. And we got home and I just kind of rode that train. And I sent Todd a text and I said, I'll get back to you about when we're going to start recording again, but I want to take a little break. And Todd responded by saying, refraining can often be healthy. And that kind of got my brain spinning. And Brian and I have been in touch over the summer. And I said, you know, Brian, the shows that you were on were really well received by our family listeners. I'd love to bring you on as much as you're willing to come on. Brian went out and bought a nice shiny microphone, and we're going to be getting into it tonight. So I wanted to thank you both for making the time tonight to chat. And if this is your first episode listening to Brian's voice, he has been on in the past, so you can kind of search him. I actually don't know off the top of my head what number episodes he was on, but his thoughts and insights are very much appreciated by myself and the listeners, and I'm excited to get into it tonight. So the topic that I want to talk about tonight is exactly what Todd said, refraining. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. To get a word into your vocabulary, you need to use it 7 or more times within like a certain amount of time. And I rarely use the word refrain.
Well, don't refrain now.
I need to refrain from talking. I've been going for like 4 minutes straight. Haven't even
you're
guys in yet.
You're good.
But I want to set the table for tonight's conversation by starting off or leading off with a question of, can you think of a time in your life or an example when you have refrained from something, either purposely or by accident, and what that yielded for you? The reason why I bring this up is not actually my refraining from the podcast, but I'm refraining from something else, which I'll leave you in suspense about what I'm going to talk about. But I'm curious to know from your lives, when I bring that up, what kind of jumps to your brain?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it today, and for me, I like to joke around and have a good time, and refraining from doing that, and only at the right time. And I've had people in the past say, "Oh, you have to be that way. This is who you are." I said, "No, I don't." And so I stopped doing it for a while. And about an hour later, they came back up to me and said, "Okay, can you go back to being yourself now? I don't like this." You mentioned the shiny new microphone. Of course, the first thing I thought was, well, it matches my shiny head. For me, there's humor everywhere. And so that would be something for me, is refraining, from, you don't want to be known as, just a jokester and whatnot. So I think people have learned that from my other episodes on here, that there's more to it than that. But, there's a time and a place. And what's that?
Sorry, I was going to ask Pete, are you looking for examples of refrain, or are you looking for more of a holistic kind of ideation about what it means?
Are you still alcohol-free, Todd?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know the days?
It's pushing 106, maybe 107.
Yeah. So I was thinking, you've been refraining for alcohol for, over a quarter of a year now, for the first time in a long time. And
quarter of a year.
I'm guessing that is, a topic for you. But anything that you're thinking about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's one example of the refrain. I find that the older I get, I don't know if this is everybody's experience, but it's definitely mine, is around refraining, is how that ties to kind of intentionality and expectation. So as an example, I like to talk to people all the time, and if I have something that I feel that they can gain from me, or I would like to share with them, like I'll just jump out and say it, right? Like, oh, by the way, your headlights out, or oh, something like this. And my wife has this crazy opinion that I don't know how crazy it is. She's like, that's what old people do, and so now I find myself, oh, I should refrain from doing that, right? But is that based on somebody else's interpretation of how I appear, or am I now thinking that I should refrain from all these, like a different host of things, just because how I may or may not look to other people, or appear or sound? Does that make sense? So when I think about refraining, I think how many different layers of myself are wrapped up in what it is that I may or may not be thinking I should be refraining from. So drinking is a perfect example. I'm refraining from that because I just kind of got tired of it. But at the same time, now my older friends are refraining from being my friend, or being close to my circle, because I've refrained from something else. So it's like a really weird kind of winding path for me. But I don't know if that answers your question. But
yeah, it's interesting. Part of the reason why I bring this up is because I just came off of summer vacation as a teacher. I get approximately 9 weeks off, and pretty regimented, ritualistic, routine dude. And over the summer, I decided to kind of break away from some of that and kind of see how that would go. And I fell into this cycle of we'd tuck my daughter into bed, and then Jen would go to bed, and I'd go downstairs and I'd jump on my computer, and I would just like be really excited to go down the YouTube rabbit hole. Like I would just start like with fitness videos, and the next thing I know, I'm watching videos of tours of the smallest apartments in Tokyo. Like just kind of the way it goes. And I would get so excited to like just at free time, mindless, just YouTube. And then like a couple hours later, it'd be like way past my bedtime. I'd be overtired, but I didn't feel tired because my eyeballs, I've been staring at the screen. And I go to bed kind of like, oh, that was a real waste of time. And I would just, maybe tomorrow I'll just stay away from YouTube. And then my session would just get longer each night. And as the school year started, I was like, all right, I am going to make a commitment to myself that not only am I going to completely go cold turkey, no YouTube, but I'm going to go cold turkey, no ESPN.com as well, which is the other website that gets my attention because of my fandom for sports. And then I was like, you know what? Like if I was going to line up like a great day and like a productive day for me, what would that look like? So I just wrote down some things that I want to do or accomplish throughout the day as the school year started. And I came up with like 12. There's these 12 things that if I like do these things, I feel like it puts me in a good flow. And I actually started before the school year. I started, my daughter's birthday is the 20th. So I started the 21st of August, which was like a week before I was going back to school. And I've just been kind of staying off YouTube and then doing these 12 things, which I can mention in a minute. And I cannot believe how much better I feel, how much more productive I feel, how much more effective I feel, how much better of a father and a husband I feel, just because I'm refraining from this YouTube thing. It's so crazy to me. Like I always knew screen time wasn't great for me, but like I cannot believe the difference in what I'm seeing in myself in my day based on just refraining from YouTube.
Are the things on your list mostly exclusionary, or is it just the YouTube is exclusionary and then the other things are like actions?
I have my list here, so I'll read it and you can decide. So I got to have my body out of bed before 5:45 a.m. Last year, I got into a cycle going to bed late, and this summer going to bed really late, and I would like get up much later than I normally would. Super long response, but I friggin' hate emptying the dishwasher and doing the dishes at night when I'm tired. Like it's just something that I really, really struggle with. So I'm like, I'm gonna empty the dishwasher in the morning. Like I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna drink water, I'm gonna empty the dishwasher first thing. So it's one thing that I don't have to worry about at night. So out of bed before 5:45, empty the dishwasher, do a morning workout. For those that follow the show, know that I did that for many, many years. And then last year I tried to switch and go evening workouts. And I'm really excited to go back to my morning workouts. And then when I get to school, 2 full bottles of water, no processed sugar at any point during the day. Another one for me is cell phone off and 0 looking at screens for the first 2 hours that I'm home. So I'm really engaged and present with my family. Another one is hug my wife every day. And then we have no YouTube or ESPN. And then I stretch for 10 minutes before bed. And then I have this 500-page Olympic lifting manual that I've had for like 4 years and how to like teach and coach weightlifting. And it's just so daunting that I just haven't even opened the first page, but I'm really excited to read it. So I have to read one page of that before I go to bed at night. And I actually have that on my board. I stand up and I read it while I'm standing up. And then I journal my gratitude through the day. And then the 12th one is I have to have my body in bed before 9:15. I was not doing any of this stuff 2 weeks ago. And now I'm in such a good flow right now. It is amazing how great I feel. And it's just like I wake up, I'm like, I'm going to get those dishes done. And then when I get home from school, dishes are already done. And it's just like, it feels so good. I don't know. Like this refraining has really, really, it's not just I'm spending less time on YouTube. It's really flowing over into like all these aspects of my life. And it's a really, really amazing and powerful thing that I'm feeling right now.
That's awesome. Way to go.
Have you noticed a change in your interactions with people?
Definitely with my wife and my daughter. I don't know that it's changed much beyond that, other than I come home and I like text my buddies like all the hours that I'm home. So now it's like, nope, I'm not going to text the hour. I'm not going to text my buddies for those 2 hours, because it's really when I get home from school, it's 2 hours until LJ's bedtime. So I can kind of like do that stuff after she goes to bed. But my wife and my daughter are like, holy cow, like you're so available to us now. Like right before coming down and recording, I went out and pushed my daughter in the swing. She loves her swing set. And I just went out there and just pushed her in the swing. The weather's so nice in September, Vermont. And like, I wouldn't have done that before. I would have been doing schoolwork, or I would have been editing a podcast episode, or I would have been researching a fitness video, or would have been on some crazy YouTube rabbit hole search. So it's just like, if I refrain from one thing, like how it spills over into other aspects of my life. And I know, Todd, you mentioned that when you quit drinking.
Yeah. May I ask you a question?
Please.
So, several of those things on that list, I've heard you either say you've done before, like over the years that I've known you. I know that there's a few of those. You're like, oh, I do this, or I've tried to do that and that didn't work. So is it do you think it's the refrain that is like the trigger, or do you think it's that you finally just put them all together and put them into an actionable list that now you hold yourself accountable to do? Like
some of these are just going back to what I'd always done, but I took a break from. So it's nice to revisit those. But I think the biggest impact of all of the ones on that list, all 12 of them, is the no screen time when I get home, and then the no YouTube or ESPN, period. Like I can't even go on and check it for a second. Football season starts actually tonight.
Yeah, it does.
My goal is to go as far into the football season I can without watching a minute of football, which if you've known me my life sounds like freaking like crazy town.
That's wild. Yeah. Good job. I think those boundaries you've been talking about for so long, you finally pulled the trigger on setting some of those.
Put them into good priorities.
It's like walking the balance. Like I felt like I was too hard on myself before, so I took a break, and now I'm like kind of trying to find that equilibrium. But you two are such amazing people that I respect. That I'm curious to know, like when you were to stop doing something, or at any point in your life, like make these changes, the impact that had on you.
Well, I could relate with Todd when he was talking about stopping drinking. You and I talked about it, Pete, before he was doing it. Because working in a brewery, I found myself drinking the opposite of what someone should drink. I would drink 5 days a week or more. You're at a brewery. It's free beer. Who's going to say no to free beer? And a few years ago, around my birthday, I'm like, man, I got to take a break, but what can I do? And when you added the date of my birthday and the year I was turning, it totaled 70. And I'm like, I'm going 70 days with no drinking. And last year I started a month late because I was traveling out west. This year I started a month early, which not working at the brewery now, it's not a big deal. So I'm in the middle of that again. And the first thing I mentioned to Pete, Todd, was, boy, wait till he sees how he sleeps and the way his thinking is. It's
profound. It's crazy how different it is.
It's like you're living in a cloud and you don't even know it.
That's for real. I talked to my cousin who's 7 years sober or something like that, and she asked me, Pete, I might have told you this. She said, "Have you had the dream yet?" And I was like, "What dream?" She's like, "You'll wake up and you'll be like, am I really that drunk that I don't realize that I'm not dreaming?" And I was like, "What in the hell are you talking about?" And then a couple weeks later, I actually woke up and I was like, and like if you drink too much. Pete probably can't relate to this, but if you drink too much around like your key friends, at some point you'll do something or say something so asinine that you will wake up and you will just feel like this impending, like there's just a heavy weight of shame. You're like, oh, somebody's going to say something about last night, or you know what I mean? It's like, this can go on for days. I woke up and I felt like that. And I knew exactly what she was talking about. I told my wife, I was like, was I drinking last night? She's like, what are you, crazy? Like, but that's what she was talking about. And I thought, man, if your mind can play tricks on you like that, imagine what they're like when you're just living your day to day. Like, I'm going to go home and have a beer, I'm going to do all these things. And it just becomes part of your fabric. And going back to that's why I quit. That's exactly why, because I realized how much of my life has this thing that I've, turned on taken over. like what are the reaches that this thing has on me? So yeah, but the drunk dream is a crazy thing. If you ever get there, let me know.
I haven't had that before, but I've had some pretty
Yeah,
trippy
well,
dreams. But
yeah, it's wild.
Ryan, is that something you do every year now? The time off from drinking for like after your birthday?
Yep.
Is it like a set amount of time that you always do it for, like a month or 70 days or whatever?
It's my birthday plus the date of the date of the month plus my age. So this year it's 73 days.
Also, every year it goes up.
Fourth year. Yep.
A day.
So every year it goes up.
That's cool.
Yep.
Nice.
Do you look forward to it?
It's been much easier this year not being at a brewery.
Yeah.
How many years did you work at the brewery?
I was there 6 years.
Okay.
This is my 4th year.
As the date approaches, do you look forward to it, or are you kind of like, here it comes?
The first year I wondered, could I do it? But after I did it the first year, it was like, well, I just started every year. No, I don't dread it. Like this year, I'm like, I'm just going to start it earlier and maybe even go longer, just where I'm not there anymore. It's not a part of my day-to-day life.
Congratulations.
It's easier. Well, you too. Thanks. Yeah, because my father, God, he hasn't had drinking over 40-something years. He just stopped one day and said, why am I doing this? And he was telling the story the other night. He used to smoke till he was about 20, and he just stopped one day. He goes, I just thought it was so ridiculous, He's in his 80s now.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Healthy as ever, and geez, I try to keep up with him some days.
Yeah. Back on the topic of refrain, sometimes I think that too. I think if I stop this now, am I refraining from being the person who is more fun loving, or who could be, in a different way, and is having that projection out in the world making me less than, you know what I mean? Or do people, like my family, does my family see it as a strength, or does my family see it as a weakness because I have this on-off switch? That's a lot of times I spend a lot of time thinking about that too.
Something that I was talking about with one of my colleagues just today was this. So he and I are very similar. We're extremely extroverted, and I bounce around the halls of my school just like hugging kids and high fives and yelling kids' names across the hallway. And I'm just very exuberant. Like, I will walk into that school so tired and just like numb in the morning. And the minute I interact with a kid, it's just like I always say, it's like my coffee, and it just lights me up, and I just flow through the day that way. And even today, I was just on top of the world. And one of my colleagues said, I believe that the way you carry yourself is authentically you. And he said, I believe the way that I carry myself is authentically me. But somebody told him the way that he acts makes a specific person uncomfortable. And he's like, so where does that leave me? If I say I want to make all of the students in the school comfortable, do I deviate from being myself so that I can make this person comfortable, but then I'm no longer myself, and the best version of me really is accepted by 99%? What do I do? And I think that the quick answer is, well, you just have to be yourself, and whatever happens, happens. But if we're trying to make everyone comfortable around us, so that's something like I've been thinking about, like, yes, I'm loud and boisterous, and I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea for sure, but I just figure the people that want space from me will just like take space. And now I'm thinking about like how much do I refrain from being myself versus not? Exactly how you let off, Brian, about how often you joke and these things. And it's really hard when you refrain from fully being yourself to try to meet the needs of others. And I think there's a push-pull there that's a tricky thing.
Yeah, well, around that humor, one of the things I've always was concerned about with that was, is that a defense mechanism, or am I just being funny? That was always my big concern. I'm like, and I now know that it's not, but people can perceive it as that. But just, I like to have fun and see people smile, and and if you can get to know them and relate with them, whether it be students or coworkers or customers and clients, whatever it is. It's at this point in my life, my age and my experience and children, grandchildren, all that, is like I find myself more relatable to people than I ever thought I would be. And so I have to be careful with that because not everybody is of the personality, like you said, the 1% or whatever. You have to be careful around that 1% because you certainly don't want to offend them or push them away, but that's their own perception.
Yeah, it's tricky. I think like in society, it's like, well, I'm going to be who I am. And if the clerk at the grocery store isn't cool with it like that, that's fine. But my role at a school and a teacher is different than that. And that's where it can get tricky, I think.
Yeah.
But is it different? I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, is it only different because of the expectation you put on yourself? That's the real question, right? Like you said earlier, they'll just make space. They'll deviate from my path if they don't like me anyways, right? But how do you feel about that? I think that's the underlying thing that predicates the behavior, right? Like, now I have to change it because one person doesn't like me. But
right.
What's the flip side of that? Then the other 99% are like, what happened to Peter? He's trying to change for that one guy to like, you know what I mean? It's like, I think Brian was right. The older you get, the more layers you slough, and you're just like, you know what? This is who I am, and this is what you're going to get. And at some point, there's just this no nonsense kind of, here I am, and everything else can just be the way it is. I think that's part of the wisdom of being old.
I think at a really young age, I learned that in my case, because I'm like, I know who I am and I know who I'm not. And the same Brian you meet when you come see me at work or at the gym, or wherever you run into me, I'm the same Brian. And I think you have to be true to yourself.
Yeah,
I think is what Todd's touching on.
I've always said I'd never want someone to meet me for the first time at the gym because I'm just like laser. Like when I'm working out, not when I'm coaching other people, but when I'm working out, it's like, whoa, that dude is
dead.
Yeah, he's not someone I want to get to know. Yeah. So what we've just been talking about now is just like being authentic to yourself and kind of refraining or letting go of all those things, like worried about what the clerk at the grocery store might think, or worried about pleasing people, or all these things. And that brings me to kind of the next piece of the conversation that I would love to get both of your perspectives on. And it has to do with a text that Todd sent me. So Todd follows a app called the Daily Calm, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, Todd, but like a meditative mindset practice that you do every day. And with that comes with a quote or a focus. And one of the ones you shared with me very recently says, if you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you will have complete peace. And that really, really spoke to me, Todd, coming off reading Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now and just searching for that inner peace. And I feel like I've come and I've learned and applied quite a bit in the last couple of months after reading that book, and just like that inner peace part, that refraining of all the stuff, harboring all the stuff all the time and letting go is such a powerful thing. And that peace is really an amazing thing. And I share with my students all the time, peace doesn't mean that we don't have problems. Peace means that our problems don't have us. I say it, but I struggle to live it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's a lifelong endeavor, right? Like I don't think anybody that I've ever met certainly has at least 50% of that together. Like, they can say it or they can act it, or, they can display it at some times maybe more effortlessly than I can. But I don't think anybody drifts through their life just like, just let that roll off my back. And I don't think that it's possible in a lot of the social standards that we have. But I think it's always the good thing to strive for is, it always comes back to this for us. It's the awareness. It's like, oh, am I aware that thing is driving me nuts, or I'm carrying this around with me for no apparent reason? And can I, or am I willing to let that be? It's the harder pill to swallow.
How do you take that, Brian?
It just made me think. There's a few things that I write in my planner every day. And the last one I wrote in there, we mentioned the dreams earlier. Had a dream one night, and in the middle of the dream, there was this person there, and they looked up at me, and I recognized them. And I said, "Whoa, what are you doing here?" And they just looked at me, and they said, "You're free." And from that day to this, in my planner, one of my 10 things I have written in mine is, I am free. So every day I remind myself, let it go. You're free. Don't carry those burdens. Maybe it's oversimplified, but man, it hit me right between the eyes. And this was 8-10 years ago or more. I don't know what that sounds like to you guys, but
are you able to articulate and share specifically what you're free of?
All worries, doubts, and what other people think of me. Yeah, the thing, letting go, and that I wrote that down because you shared that in the group text with us, and I wrote that quote or whatever that we want to call it that Todd shared, and it made me think of that. I'm free. It's nobody's perfect. I can't say I'm at the epitome of that quote, but I feel I'm as close as I can be, or anyone can be. It's just letting things go, and otherwise it just stresses you out. And that helps, I think, with finding a way, Pete, like you've talked about, finding your way to meditation. You got to release all these burdens and let your mind relax, and it just flows and it vibes. And I don't know if Todd can relate with that or with what he's found with it, or
Yeah, it helps me exponentially. But I'm so curious about. I think we even talked about this last time. Like, what is the key? Like, if you found the way to freedom for yourself, like, can you distill that into a pill I can take on the daily, or like I would buy that? That would be great. But like,
I
feel
wish
like
I could.
Yeah. I'm like Brian. My question is like, when you say you're free, you don't worry. Like, is it when you find yourself worrying, you catch yourself and say, not worth it? Or you truly at this point, like you feel like you're, I don't know, to a point of like enlightenment, so to speak, that you literally go through each day without any worries.
There always are some worries, but it's not easy. That's what, like I've said in the past. It's a daily thing. That's why that's in there every day.
Yeah, but what's the work? So you write it down. It's just affirmations.
It's affirmation and what it means to me. Yeah, it's what that means to me and what it involved. I wish I could breathe into people, like you say, take a pill for this. I wish I could breathe it into other people and help them understand it, but I can't. I can only do it by how I live, by my example, trying to share here. I hope I'm not the only one out there like this, and I know I'm not because I've met people and we keep in close contact.
Interesting.
Well, Pete, I reached out to you a while ago, and you said, "Well, thanks for reaching out. I really appreciated that." I was like, I just sensed something. You know what I mean? I felt something. I'm like, boy, something. Reach out to Pete. I didn't think about him for no reason, and nothing happens. Everything happens for a reason, I guess.
Yeah. Do you pair it with that? Is that like the amplification of it? Like I do that all the time, especially in the morning, and I feel great. Like the rest of the day, like Peter was talking about, you go to school, you get juiced up by one kid. Like if I wake up in the morning and I think of somebody and I text them and it makes it, like they reply it and it makes an impact, like that's the juice for me, right? Like that's it. But I wouldn't say that. Doesn't matter what I say. Would you say that? But through those kind of actions, that's in essence the reaffirmation. Like, yeah, I did make a difference. Yeah, that's not going to bother me. Or now you have that positivity bubble to ride on.
I don't even need to hear back from the person. It means a lot when I do. For me, it's just the releasing it and sharing it and passing that on. A friend of mine used to term it. It's like you make ripples. It's like you're throwing a rock into a still pond, and it ripples all the way out. You affect this one person, and it ripples all the way out to others. And it's like you're just constantly making ripples in a positive way like that. I don't know why we would want to do anything different, but it's...
So when it comes to positively impacting other people's lives through those different interactions and stuff, like I can see that. But what I'm having trouble, Brian, is like, so recently you switched careers.
Yep.
Are you telling me there was no worries during that whole process?
There was stress. There was stress. Still is. To myself, you're only good as the next vehicle you sell. It's like, so you're always under pressure, but how do you release that? How do you let it go? How do you stay yourself? I get other affirmations through reviews and things, but that's not why I'm doing it. That's not why I'm treating them the way I do. It's, this person today, it's like they were very attached to their vehicle they were trading. And I had looked at them. I said, I can feel it in your heart how much you care about this car, the one that they're trading in, because it had such good memories and whatnot with them. And they just looked at me like, yes. It's like, I don't know, I can just sense that and feel it from other people. And it's like trying to help them be at ease with this, their decision. And
so, in going back to that quote, Brian, would you say that at this juncture in your life that you have complete peace?
As complete as I know how to have, yeah. There can always be more.
What about you, Todd?
No, but I think that my answer is similar to Brian's. I think as long as I'm edging towards a new horizon every day, then maybe that's all the peace you can get. I don't know. Like, that's a very interesting thing. I find myself letting go of more things all the time with increasing frequency and increasing fervor. Like, bigger things come up and I just let them go. And where before I would have been like, ooh, dog hair on the floor. Now I'm just like, that's fine. Who cares? So I think incrementally it gets better, but I wouldn't, if I looked back, like even on today or even on like the last 6 months or years, I wouldn't say that no, I certainly say I'm not at peace, but I think it's a existential balance. I don't know if you can ever. I know it's great that Brian feels that way, but for me, it's different. It's a different recipe, I suppose. I feel like Brian's is in his actions or through his actions. Like, he connects with people, and that brings the ease, right? Or like, you ease other people, or see that they could. It's like a compassion piece. I don't know exactly how to place it, but through that feeling and through your ability to communicate those feelings to other people, I feel like that allows you to then, and correct me if I'm wrong because I probably am, but to like keep going on your day in that vein of ease. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's more than that, but yeah, that's a good chunk of it.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, the letting go part. Years ago when I went through my divorce, I remember just laying there thinking, let it go, Brian, let it go. Let go, move on. And that sort of, even before then I could do that, but getting through that one was a big one, big hurdle in my life. But
being in the fitness space the way I am, people come to me and they say, hey, I know I need to eat better, ... Hey, I know I should exercise more, ... And they struggle to do those things. I say, hey, I need to let that go, ... And I know that I should let that go, and I understand the benefits of that in my life, but I still struggle to let go.
Is it the how?
So
I don't know how to let it go.
It's a good question, Todd. I don't know. I don't know if I can articulate that. Like,
Yeah.
So in answering that question, do I have peace? I feel like I certainly have moments of peace, but where that book helped me was start to realize where my mind is. So he was basically saying, if you're subconscious, things are happening that are kind of outside your control. They're just happening, and you are just reacting to those things. Those that are conscious kind of are always feeling what they're feeling and recognizing what they're feeling. And now I'm starting to recognize what I'm feeling like. And where I start is with breathing. So I'll just be driving and be like, oh, all right, I'm going to take this moment and try to be present in this moment, or when I'm walking or talking to someone. And I'm doing it more often than I was, but I would go days with just like zipping through my day and not being like, stop and pause for peace.
Nice.
You mentioned, reacting to those subconscious things you said.
Yeah.
I was thinking, because in myself, like, I feel like I flow with those things. If it's going to happen, okay, let's go with this flow. Let's see what's happening here. And does that, does that, rather than trying to react to it, because I take reaction as a negative thing. It's like if a doctor gives you a prescription and they say, well, you're reacting to this. That's like, oh, something's bad. We're going to put you on something different. It's like, oh, okay, you're responding to this medication. That's that one word difference.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It's fascinating, really. The layers. It's bizarre. Yeah.
But I think, because it's physical, like you mentioned, working out is a big part, of what I do to stay in that peace or that free space. I just found out through where I work, I get a membership at the aquatic center. Yeah. So for the past 4 weeks, I've been getting up early and working out before work. And it's nice to be back because I stopped going when the pandemic hit. And I've just been working out from home, going for walks, things like that. And it's nice to go into that environment. And I like getting there early because there's very few people there.
Yeah. It's the same, kind of that win the morning, win the day mentality. Yep. I switched to working out at night so I could avoid injury because my body just wasn't ready, at 5 a.m. And now I'm going to mornings just because it sets me up so much better mentally for the day. Like, pulling myself out of bed those first 5 minutes is not fun, but it's so rewarding. And I'm just changing my style of movement in the morning so I'm not putting myself in peril or, mitigating the risk of injuring myself by lifting heavy weights and doing certain movements at certain times. But when I can just rip the Band-Aid off and get myself out of bed for those first 5 minutes, get down there, drink the water, unload the dishwasher, like I've already won at that point, right? And it just that just sets me up for the day to flow. And when you talk about inner peace, like the listeners to the show know that that's when I feel I'm at my most peaceful is when I'm working out. That's my meditation.
Yeah, A couple other things I do every day is, make sure I listen to, something for positive mental attitude or whatever. And then it's to read for at least 10 minutes. But the listening part, I have a speaker in my bathroom. As soon as I go in there, I fire it up. I start listening to something and continue on my ride to the gym. And while I'm at the gym with little headphones I have, on the ride home, just, constantly feeding it. Like you said, you get to the school and you see the first people and then that fires you up. I like to be fired up before I get there. And so when I get there, I'm already in a good space, and it's by my doing. You know what I mean? It's because you never know what you're going to get hit with by people.
Yeah, I'm actually, Brian, on the other end of that, breaking away from all this. A lot of what I went on YouTube wasn't just mindless crap. It was like, learning about exercise, learning about mindset. And I'm constantly, when I'm reading books, when I'm reading nonfiction, it's like, how can I take this and digest it and then share it on the podcast? How can I share it with my students? And I put so much pressure on myself when I listen to that stuff that it's been exhausting. So I literally, to take a complete break from all of it has been really cool for me, and it'll be interesting to see how I go back. But I feel like I'm already starting to fall behind, like, because everything changes so quick in the fitness world and all these things, like almost like putting pressure on myself to get back to it because I don't want to be able to not answer a question that students ask or something. But I found myself doing the opposite as you. Like, I was getting ramped up and getting anxious about, oh man, I gotta figure out a way to make this digestible for the podcast listeners and for my students. And I can just take it for myself and be cool with it, but that's not what I do when I listen to that stuff. Is how can I articulate this so that's helpful with the people that I interact with? So funny.
Yeah, it's fun to watch you say certain things, and then Todd and I nod our head in agreement at the same time.
Todd's got his deep thinking face on.
Oh man,
he's looking up and to the right like this entire time, and he is thinking and shaking his head like none other.
I don't know. It's wild. It's just, I don't know. If I had a better way to articulate the thoughts that went through my mind at any given time, I feel like I would have something that people want to listen to. But it's just like, I don't know. The older I get, the more layers it goes, and it's just like each one is easier to see, but I still don't have an answer. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost right there. It's like when you have something on the tip of your tongue, and you're like, man, if I could just do that, or if I could just remember this, right? But I feel like oftentimes I'm always in that headspace, like, especially when I'm talking to you two, because it's like, oh yeah, all the things that I think that have been confirmed, and then I'll turn this off and I'll go watch football, and I'll be like, Pete's going to refrain from watching football. How the hell is that going to work? It's going to be crazy. I can't even imagine what your life is going to be like watching no football.
I can't either. But I can tell you one thing, I feel so free not watching YouTube, so maybe it'll be similar to that.
Maybe.
My issue with sports is, I don't think it's an issue when I love doing it. If I watch any moment of a game, I have to watch the rest of the game. So if the game's not even close, I will finish it. So if it's a Thursday night or a Sunday night or a Monday night game, it's a school night, and I watch even 1 minute of the game, I'm in it to win it to the end. And it's the same if I go to like a JV girls softball game. Like, I got to stay to the end. Yeah. And my friends in like high school and college would hate me for that. I'd be like, let's go. Like, let's get out of here.
It's over.
Game's not over yet. And it's not even like I'm trying to get my money's worth. It's not games that I paid for. I just love staying to the end. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how long I can go without watching football. And I think my mom's listening to this because she grew up in the house. I mean, Sundays for me was wake up and watch all the pre-stuff from 9 to noon, and then grab a bite to eat at noon, and then watch football from 1 until midnight. That's all I did for decades. So I'll see how this goes.
Well, you're definitely going to feel great about the time you get back. That's an entire day.
Speaking of refraining.
Yeah, speaking of which.
Good stuff.
Yeah, do you have like a refrain? Like, you know what I mean? Like, at some point, are you going to be like, "Well, that's too much refraining"? I wonder.
Yeah, we'll find out for sure.
Does this all stem from the CTFO? Is that where you found this?
What's the T stand for? I thought it was just CFO. Oh, chill. No.
Yeah. I might be adding acronyms.
No, honestly, it's just because I feel so free, not being tied to screens, that I think it's going to have a positive yield for me. Yeah. And will I watch football? Maybe, but I'm going to see how long I can go. But I just feel free, not feeling like I have to tune into a game or I have to watch this next fitness video. And like, it's awesome. it's not like a challenge for myself. Like 2 years ago when I drove to school every day and never once turned on the radio, that was a challenge. That's different than this. This is like, I'm excited to do this.
That was a heavy refrain.
I got in the car the other day and went to school. I was like, I cannot believe I went an entire school year driving with a silent car 200 plus times that whole year.
You learned something from it, because now you talk about it more often than you ever did before.
I learned how much I love listening to something when I'm in my car.
That's great. I don't know. Did we answer any of your questions? Did we even stay on topic? I feel like I'm all over the place.
No, this is what I love. I love when we have the three of us and we just let it rip. We just drop a sentence to start and let it go.
That's good.
See where it goes from there.
Yeah.
You got 10
Brian,
minutes.
Did you have anything else before we finish out?
No, I don't. I'd be thinking a lot about this, though, when we get done. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's the problem with these episodes. We have these conversations, and then you have all these like thoughts and realizations that you want to share, and that episode's already produced and published, and now we're moving on to the next one. So we can revisit whenever we need.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank both of you so very much for your time. It's been such a pleasure and so fun. This minutes go by so fast for me. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I got to get off because the Ravens and Chiefs kick off in a couple minutes. I got to go catch the game.
I got to refrain from watching it.
To our amazing family of listeners out there, we so very much appreciate your ears. We thank you for your time. We are incredibly grateful for your attention. On behalf of Brian Fortier and Todd Ellis, I am Pete Driscoll. We are the School and Struggle Podcast. We are out.
See ya.
Later.